Let's get right into it. This is a wild story that starts with just one guy, his phone, and a 42-minute video that somehow spiraled into a billion-dollar national scandal.
And I'm not kidding about the scale. That one video has absolutely exploded, soaring past 114 million views on X alone. You know, to call it viral feels like an understatement. This thing was a digital wildfire.
So that really brings us to the big question we're tackling today. How in the world did one man's video manage to ignite this kind of nationwide firestorm, kickstart a massive federal investigation, and, in the FBI's own words, expose just the tip of a very large iceberg?
To figure that out, here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with how the video caught fire, then we'll follow the money trail it exposed, look at the political fallout, the huge federal response, and finally, what this all might mean for the future of news itself. Okay, first up, how this whole thing ignited. And the story really kicks off with an independent journalist named Nick Shirley, who decided to do some good old-fashioned on-the-ground reporting right on the streets of Minneapolis.
The crazy thing is, Shirley wasn't digging through secret files or anything. He was just documenting what he called open and blatant red flags at these taxpayer-funded facilities, things that were literally hiding in plain sight for anyone to see.
And the stuff he found is just wow. He walks up to the Quality Learning Center, and yes, learning is actually misspelled on their sign. The place is licensed to care for 99 kids, but on a weekday it looked totally deserted. The windows, blacked out. And when he tried to ask a simple question like, hey, where are all the kids? Doors were slammed right in his face. And he found this exact same pattern over and over again at different locations.
So after seeing one empty building after another, he didn't mince words. He turned right to his camera and just said it. This is open and blatant fraud taking place here inside of Minnesota.
Well, as you can imagine, that kind of raw, on-the-ground footage did not stay local for long. And that brings us to our second section, from clicks to controversy. The speed at which this thing blew up is just incredible. I mean, look at this timeline. Day 1, Shirley uploads the video. By day 2, boom, it's already hitting millions of views. Then on day 3, it gets a massive boost from huge names like Elon Musk and Donald Trump Jr. And by day 4, it's landed on the radar of U.S. senators and congressmen who are starting to demand answers. That's how fast a citizen journalist's report became a top-tier national issue. Okay, so the video got everyone's attention, right? But what was it really all about? Let's dig into the substance of it in Section 3, Following the Money Trail. See, this wasn't just about a few sketchy daycares. Whistleblowers and investigators started pointing to massive fraud across a whole bunch of government programs. We're talking child care centers, the infamous Feeding Our Future program where an alleged $250 million vanished, autism centers, transportation services, and even a housing program that burned through over $160 million before getting shut down. So what's the potential grand total here? According to the U.S. Attorney's Office, this whole investigation could end up uncovering fraud that reaches a jaw-dropping $9 billion. And if you think it can't get any crazier, it does. One of the most serious allegations here is that some of this taxpayer money was actually funneled out of the country to Al-Shabaab, a known terrorist organization in Somalia. Suddenly, this went from a story about financial crime to a serious matter of national security. With allegations that serious, you can bet the political heat got turned up to 11 immediately. So in Section 4, let's look at the officials who found themselves right in the hot seat. So, a fierce debate just erupted. On one side, you have Governor Tim Walz's office saying, hey, we've spent years cracking down on fraud. We've strengthened oversight. We shut these programs down. But on the other side, you have critics and whistleblowers saying the response was 7 years too late, that they had ignored clear warnings and had even retaliated against the people trying to sound the alarm. Now, a totally different narrative also emerged. A writer for the New York Times suggested that because the Somali immigrant population was involved, they were being unfairly used as scapegoats to push what they called a far-right political agenda.
But this was escalating way beyond state politics and media debates. Let's move on to Section 5, Federal Agents Move In.
I mean, when the director of the FBI weighs in personally, you know it's a big deal. He confirmed that the Bureau believes all the fraud they found so far is, and this is a direct quote, the tip of a very large iceberg. That's a pretty clear signal of a massive, ongoing federal investigation. And this wasn't just talk. The federal response has been swift and serious. They've surged agents and resources into Minnesota. Their goals?
dismantle these huge fraud rings, trace every dollar, and, where they can, even refer people for denaturalization and deportation. This is a full-blown federal operation now.
Okay, for our last section, let's zoom out and really think about the bigger picture here. Section 6, a new era of news?
This whole episode sparked a massive debate about the state of modern media. People started asking, is citizen journalism, like what Nick Shirley did, now filling a void that the mainstream media has left open? Now, some local papers had written hundreds of articles on this stuff over the years, but it took Shirley's raw, direct, unfiltered video to create the kind of public outrage that actually forces people to act.
And this quote from Shirley himself really gets to the heart of why his video resonated with millions. He just said, "Fraud is fraud. We work too hard to simply be paying taxes and enabling fraud to be happening." It's such a simple, powerful message of taxpayer frustration and a demand for basic accountability. Which leaves us with this final, really important question. This story wasn't broken by a major news network. It was broken by one guy with a camera who felt something was wrong. So when the official channels and the traditional media seem to fail, is this raw, unfiltered, on-the-ground reporting? Is this the future of how we hold people accountable?